A day to remember for the rest of your lives.
There's a great promise for all of you.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame and Extreme Networks present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program. With nearly 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 48 states around this country, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans how to huddle up during a time when we need to be united.
It's time for America to take a real deep dive, not at no one else, but at yourself individually. If you want to change America, don't brush your teeth with your head down. Look at who you are and be the example. Be the example.
An opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. Single-parent homes, drug-infested neighborhoods, and poverty.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was considered one of the worst in America, and the household I grew up in was one of the worst in that neighborhood. By the time I was 20 years old, I knew at least 30 friends or family members who had lost their lives. Football became like a second parent to me. It taught me the things that my father wasn't there to teach me, and that my mother, as a struggling single-parent woman, just didn't know to teach me.
But they learn how to live a life of character before pursuing their football careers. Today, you will learn you can do the same that they once did. Making good decisions can lead to a prosperous life both on and off the field. Your game for life has already begun. It's your decision whether or not you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
Every one of you can have a Hall of Fame life, whether or not you play football. You can be as great as you want to be. The Hall of Fame is all about integrity, character, and excellence. You have the opportunity to represent yourself that way. You determine your character.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer.
I was the player I became because of the great coaches and teammates I was surrounded by. From the day I was cut from my freshman football team at Barringer High School, Coach Frank Verducci instilled in me the proper mindset to play this great game. My high school motto was truth, honor, and light. In truth, Coach Verducci taught us to recognize our strengths as well as our weaknesses and to raise our hand if it was our fault. In honor, he taught us to be proud of our names. He always said, rob me of my money and you have nothing, but rob me of my name and you take my most prized possession. In light, Coach wanted all of us to get an education. He said only a fool doesn't go to school. Coach, thank you and I love you. Hey. To the young kids out there, I am proof you should do everything you can to live your dream, whatever that may be. I did not have the material advantages, but through commitment to achieving my goals, using the advantages that I did have, and listening to the wise men and women who offered their support, I was able to live my dream. This was my dream. I am truly humbled and I'm honored to be enshrined into Pro Football Hall of Fame. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Everybody put your hands together for gold jacket Andre Tippett.
Wow. It gives me chills when I see that all over again.
Welcome, man.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
All right, guys, I'd like to welcome everybody here in front of us in Canton, Ohio, here at McKinley High School. All right, everybody's awake now. I'd like to welcome you to Canton, Ohio, home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My name is Jake Gray, and I'm the Youth and Education Manager at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is right down the hill. So I would like to welcome you guys today. First and foremost, we'd like to thank our high school here, McKinley High School, for the hospitality and allowing us to bring this Heart of a Hall of Famer program here to Umstad Hall. So I want to get that out. First and foremost, thank them for that. As you know, you guys are here. Pro Football Hall of Fame, Heart of a Hall of Famer series powered by Extreme Networks. Our mission at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. And those values we talk about are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence, all of which we're going to talk about today. And those values and how those values not only made guys like Andre Tippett great football players on the field, but even better men off the field. And before we turn things over here to Mr. Tippett for his opening remarks, some other thank yous I'd like to send out. First, and again, we'd like to thank our partners at Extreme Networks for all that they do for us here at the Hall of Fame and being the sponsor of this great program. They do a lot of great things for us here in Canton, Ohio, and for schools all across the country. Second, I'd like to thank our teachers and administrators for those, who brought their kids here today to Canton, Ohio to view this program, and those teachers who are also watching this online for allowing us to come into their classroom and be a part of their school day. Lastly, though, and probably most importantly, I'd like to thank, our students here today. Without the program or without you guys here today, the program doesn't happen. You guys are the ones that drive the program. We're excited. I hope you guys are too, to kind of see where everything goes. Before we get started, we do have a bunch of schools here today. So when I say your school name, raise your hand, give a little holler, let everybody know you're here. So we're going to start off with West Branch High School. Where are you? I saw a lot of green. I figured that was those guys right there. What about East High School? All right, that was okay. We have Perry High School. Perry High School, all right. Heritage Middle School. All right, they're over there. Project Rebuild from Canton, Ohio. All right. We've got Glenville High School. Over there too. Twinsburg High School. All right. Malvern High School. All right, down here in the front. St. Sebastian School. Over there, they're over there too. We've got students from Canton local schools. Right there in the middle. We got Yeshiva High School. All right. Whoa. Big pop over there.
Shiva.
We've got Vermilion High School. All right. Crenshaw Middle School. Crenshaw Middle School. All right, there they are. Hartford Middle School. Glen Oak High School. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Ouch. And last but not, guys, listen. Last but not least, we have our students from Summit Academy, Canton Secondary. All right, guys, listen, throughout the program today, we're going to be taking questions from our students right here in Canton, Ohio. Some of you guys were given cards when you walked in the school today, and we're going to be coming to you guys throughout the program to ask your questions, so be ready for that. We're also going to be taking questions on Facebook Live for our remote audience today. If you're watching us on Facebook, leave a question there in the comment section, and we'll try our best to get that question in as part of the program. With that being said, I'd like to welcome and give one more round of applause to Gold Jacket, Andre Tippett. Anything you want to open up with?
Absolutely. I'm honored and very, very happy to be here today. And I'm honored the fact that so many people are here. And with so many people in the building, sometimes the message is hard to get to everybody. But I hope in the conversation and in the back and forth that we all walk out of here with something that you can use of value. And it's all about being able to help the people that have come before you and the people that are heading in the other direction. And I hope that by sharing some of my stories, some of my life experiences, it'll help you guys in some way, some form of fashion. I'm old school, and my kids, I've been a little old school with them. And when I say that, I tell them and I remind them, don't worry about being criticized. Look to figure out ways that you can get better. no matter what it is, sports, school, work. And I got 4 kids, and it's kind of all over the spectrum. I got 1 that's still in college, and I got 3 that are out in the workforce. And it's okay to be criticized, and don't let that hurt your feelings. And figure out a way to help others if they can't help themselves. Okay? Thank you guys for being here, and I'm honored to be back in Canton, Ohio.
So we're gonna start today a little different. Normally you think we're gonna start at the beginning of your career, learn about your childhood and work your way up to where we are today. But we're gonna start at the end of the timeline. We're gonna start today. Many people don't know this, but you are a 6th degree black belt in Wei Chi Ru. See, I told you I would get it. Is there a specific reason you got into this sport or that training, and how did you become so successful?
I tell this to everybody, and they look at me, there's no way you got into the martial arts for this particular reason. I got in to learn how to protect myself. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and I tell this to people, and they're like, there's no way, come on, who would mess with you? But times were a lot different when I was your age. When I was 13, 14, 15, it was a little bit different. I had to deal with a lot of things, and I had to learn how to deal with those things. And martial arts became one of those tools that I used to kind of help move my way through 6th, 7th, 8th grade through the years. And it's funny, I got into the martial arts to learn how to basically fight, protect myself. And believe it or not, the further I went into my training, I never had to use it. And people were like, really? I learned more about myself as I got further and higher in rank, and the people that I was around. I learned how to cope with different situations that I was put in. And for that was the reason why I fell in love with the martial arts. And I've been in the martial arts almost 43 years now.
Would you say you got into martial arts because you were maybe not bullied, but that was kind of what was going on?
Well, I didn't want to use the word, but I wanted Jake to bring it up. I was bullied. I used to, believe it or not, 6th grade, would see my teacher. We got out at 3:15, and I would beg her every day, can you let me out at 3? And she was like, we can let you out with everybody. I said, I got some things going on, and I really need your help. And she started figuring out what was going on. And I got let out at 3 o'clock so I could get a head start. You guys watched the highlight tape. I was pretty quick as a football player. I got that quickness by working on my takeoffs and my get-offs to get away from school. And I literally would run home throughout the 6th grade every day. It was about 3 or 4 blocks, and I literally ran from the school nonstop until I got to my house. You say, well, you're a big guy, couldn't you protect yourself? It wasn't so much as me not being able to handle the situation. It was always 4 or 5 people that accosted me, and they would go around the school doing that with everyone. And somehow I was the biggest of my class, and they figured, let's take the big guy down, and everybody else will follow. Well, I avoided the conflict most of the time by running away from the problem. And there were times when I got to the point where I was face to face, and I dealt with it the best way I could. And but I figured I got into the martial arts. At some point this is going to stop, and I'm going to stop being harassed and get chased home. But I learned how to cope with it through the martial arts.
How would you define the word or the action of being bullied? What would your definition of that be?
Basically, you talk about being picked on. You got some person who's the bully, who is the guy that doesn't care for much, guy that doesn't really have much going on in his life, person that's not loved. And the person that's bullied is the one that doesn't want to go to school, is afraid to bring it up because people are going to think he's weak or she's this or that. And there's so many things that are put on that stigma that you could go on and on trying to describe what it is. But it's a nasty situation. It's one of those things that if anybody, and I say this everywhere I go, if anybody's ever in that situation, don't hesitate to ask someone of authority to help you out. The problem is we don't want to talk to anybody when we're in that position and we're being bullied. And you got to have a conversation. You got to let people know. I look back 40-something years ago when I was being chased around that I was so afraid, and I would look people in the eyes, but I wouldn't say anything. And I wish I could have done something to help my situation back in the day. It was probably the most miserable 3 years of my life dealing with that.
All right, we're gonna go out to some of our students' questions now. We have somebody in here who's got question number 1 written on their card. So whoever's got question number 1, go ahead and stand up. Got Jerry Shockey here who's got the microphone for you, and go ahead and state your name, your school, and then go ahead and ask your question.
My name is Aiden Smith. I'm from Vermillion High School. How would you advise someone like me to stop a bully?
Say the question one more time, sorry.
How would you advise someone like me to stop a bully?
Stop a bully? It's a good question. You know, bullies tend to respect those they assume are superior than them. And I think most athletes, believe it or not, we athletes, no matter what sport you are, we're looked up to by a lot of people in our community. And I think the best thing that you can do is go and have a conversation. You don't have to be confrontational with that person. And I think just having a conversation and asking why, but constantly having a conversation with that person to find out what's going on in their life, because that person that's the bully, there's a lot of things that are going on that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, it could be abuse at home. There could be learning deficiencies from that particular kid. There's a lot of things, and I think for yourself and your teammates as a group to have a conversation with that person and kind of show them some love and just say, hey, you know, there's a better way. It's a better way for you to communicate to people versus putting your hands on them. And you know, it's not until someone is confronted that they realize that, you know, they're the person that most people in the school are worried about. So have a conversation.
All right, back to our students here. Somebody out there has got question number 2 on their card. So go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Kimberly McKinn. I'm from East High School. And my question is, how should we respond to cyberbullying?
Cyberbullying.
Same. I mean, it's you know, it's funny. People sit behind computers, and not that I get cyberbullied on my social media account, but every now and then someone will say something on my account that is really meant to kind of. I'm almost 60 years old. You don't hurt me. But I will usually come back with some type of comment like, wow, or something that, nothing threatening, but just, I mean, I think with cyberbullying, I think that you got people that want to take shots at you and do things behind the screen that they wouldn't never think of doing in front of your face. And it's one of those things that, you know, you talk amongst your friends and you try to do what you can from even the standpoint of maybe shutting down for a month and avoiding confrontation that way. Or, you know, you can report to a lot of people, wherever the situation might be. It could be work, it could be school. You talk to whoever those that are in charge to have a conversation.
All right, I got another one from our students over here. Who's got question number 3 on their card? Go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
My name is Maria Manley. I'm from West Branch High School. And my question is, today, do you have anything in your community to help with kids who are bullied?
Yes, we do. I actually, I live in Boston, and I'm on a board for the Sports Museum, and we have Boston versus Bullies, and it's a really, really, really great program that we have been pushing out into the suburbs, into the urban community, and we've been doing it for about 5 years, and it really, really is an important program. We're training the teachers as well as some of the other staff in, say, school or at a Boys and Girls Club or different places like that. And we've put a lot of work and study behind the program before it was kicked off. And I'm proud to say that I'm pretty excited to be associated with Boston versus Bullies in my community.
As you guys can see, this is a very important topic, and it's not just, for kids in middle school or high school. Even our Gold Jackets face adversity growing up. So I hope you guys kind of take that message to heart. And it isn't just, the guy in your classroom or the girl in your classroom. It can be happen to anybody, anywhere. So we're going to go now. We got a question here from Facebook. Looks like we're going global. We got a question from the UK, from Jay. He said, after you had 0 sacks as a rookie, did you think you would ever end up with that Gold Jacket and in the Hall of Fame?
Never in my life did I think I would end up in the Hall of Fame. I was just worried about getting on the field my rookie year. My rookie year was pretty interesting. 1982 was a strike year, and so we only got 8 games. And the coaches had all decided that they were going to go with the veterans. And we were like, as rookies, what about us? How can we get a shot at, playing out there on the field? And they threw us all on the special teams. And I've always been committed to trying to get as good as I can as an athlete, as a player, and trying to figure out how I can contribute in a different way than the person that's in front of me. And I would study guys that were ahead of me, and I'd figure out what they did good and what they couldn't do really good. And I went out and I added a twist, a turn here and there to create an opportunity that obviously has served me well. And I got to play 12 years in the National Football League, and it was a great experience.
Was there any particular player or film you broke down or watched, or maybe moves you didn't steal or borrow, moves you borrowed from any other players in the NFL?
Excuse me. I studied a lot of guys from the 70s, Deacon Jones. I watched Jack Ham, who played for Pittsburgh Steelers. Bobby Bell, Kansas City Chiefs. Thomas Henderson, who's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but at a period of time in his career was considered a pretty good outside linebacker. And I watch those guys. And I tell people today, watch the great ones out there. That's the best way to learn. I said the highest form of flattery is to emulate people that do great things. And that's on the field, off the field, in school, out of school. Anybody that does great things and you feel like you have an opportunity to do those things and contribute some way, study people. Study people.
All right, we're going to go back to our students. We're going to go over here to my left here for our next question. Go ahead up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
My name is Philip Singleton. I go to Glenville High School. My question is, what kind of sacrifice did you have to make to achieve your goals?
Wow.
Sacrifices you had to make.
Well, I learned the hard way, and I didn't play Pop Warner football. And I got here to the Hall of Fame for being the athlete, being the player that I am. So we're talking about that aspect of my life. And it wasn't until high school that I saw something that I could do and I could get good at. And I got cut my freshman year. I tell that to people, and they say, no way you got cut. My freshman JV coach hates it every time I say that because it makes him look bad. I get a Facebook message as soon as I get home tonight. I can't believe you brought up that again, that you got cut. Well, he cut me. So, being cut and not having the opportunity to do what you're starting to get a feel for was a driving factor that made me work really hard. And everywhere I've gone, from high school to college to the pros, it's just been about pushing yourself and making yourself better.
Put you on the same list as Michael Jordan, right?
Absolutely.
Getting cut from
Absolutely.
your freshman high school team.
Yeah,
It's not a bad list.
No, not a bad list to be part of.
All right, we're going to go through another student question here. Go ahead and state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
My name is Colin Hinkle. I go to STEAM Academy, and my question is, why did you choose to go to Iowa for college?
Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes. I wanted to play Big Ten football. I had a couple of teammates that were ahead of me who had went out to Iowa, have done a great job, became captains at the University of Iowa, and we basically started a pipeline. And because of those guys going out ahead of me, and by the way, I got a teammate out here in the audience, and Dave Brown. Dave, put your hand up. That's one of my Hawkeye teammates right there, baby. He and I have been through the fire, and we're so proud of our legacy and what we left at the University of Iowa on hard work that we were able to contribute and leave behind. And that's a good football player right there. But I wanted to go to Iowa. I wanted to play in the Big Ten at first, and I didn't care if it was Ohio State, Michigan, or whatever, but I wanted to play Big Ten football. And the opportunity presented itself for me at the University of Iowa. And it was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life. Coming from the East Coast and urban environment, getting thrown in the Midwest was probably the toughest transition. And you're talking about trying to find out about yourself and changing your personality, because I went out there with an East Coast swagger out in the Midwest, and I'm like, I'm like looking at everybody and somebody stepping on my feet, and I'm, what's going on here? And I learned to appreciate a different quality of life. I was around some great people that I learned a lot of values from. And to this day, I'm still friends with a lot of folks in Iowa City that helped me become the person and helped me shape the person that I became.
We're in the heart of Big Ten country right now. What was it about the Big Ten that had kind of that draw for you? Was it just, the notoriety that the Big Ten has had, or that tough pound and ground football that the style that they played?
All of that, and the fact that we got to represent the Big Ten at the Rose Bowl. I would watch the Rose Bowl. As a football player in high school, we would all go to somebody's house to watch the Rose Bowl. It was always Michigan versus SC, or Ohio State, and someone from the big Pac-10. And watching that, I said, that looks pretty cool. The Rose Bowl being the granddaddy of it all. And listen to what I'm saying. It's like I'm seeing and I have goals. I don't even realize I have those goals, and I'm setting goals for myself as a young man. But I'm seeing things that in my mind, I can do this. I have the opportunity. I'm going to make that opportunity, and I'm going to have the will to drive myself through that other side. And that's what I did. I wanted to play in the Big Ten. I wanted to someday play in the Rose Bowl, which I thought I was just throwing stuff up against the wall, but I ended up playing in the Rose Bowl in 1981, representing the Big Ten. We lost the Rose Bowl game. Jock Robinson, I'm still trying to catch him. I think he ran for 270 yards against us that day. We're still trying to stop him. But that was my reason. That was my goal, to get to Iowa or any Big Ten school that would have me.
All right, we're going to go to another question here from our students. Go ahead, stand up, state your name, what school you go to, and then ask your question.
Hi, my name's Lila Hall, and I go to St. Sebastian School. My question is, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Wow. Someone would ask that question. National Football League was rough back in my day when I first came into it. It was a different style of football. It's totally different than here. And I was very fortunate to have some really good teammates. Sam the Bam Cunningham, who's a running back from USC. And there's on ESPN, they've been running this whole integration with college football back in the 50s and the 60s and then the early 70s. Sam the Bam Cunningham was part of that. He helped shape how the SEC recruited, believe it or not, because USC went into the University of Alabama to play a game. University of Alabama had all white players on that team. All of a sudden, here's a team, USC, with a mixture and a very diverse group of players on their squad. And they beat Alabama like a stepchild. And from that point, Bear Bryant was quoted as saying, we need to look at the way we recruit, not those exact words. You have to watch it yourself to hear the exact words. But they helped shape how the SEC, schools in the South, integrated other players. Sandra Bam, my rookie year, I'm 2 weeks into training camp before the veterans report. He comes out on the field. I got John Hanna also, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, as the offensive guard. So I hear a player's being called. I hear John Hanna grunting, running down the line to make a block. I step out of his way, and before I could do anything else, I looked up, and here's Sandra Bam Cunningham, who's 6'4", 240. And everything else was history because back then, fans could be on the practice field outside the roped-off area. And as I was picking myself off the ground, I could hear the fans that were at our training camp saying, ooh. So I'm looking up, and I'm dusting myself off, and I'm like, what just happened here? And I got ran over by Sandra Bam Cunningham. And to this day, I remind him that he did that to me, and he loves me like a brother, and he hates when I bring that up too. So that was my welcoming to the National Football League.
All right, we got some other questions from our students. So go ahead back there, stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
Okay, my name is Michaela Maley. I'm from Summit Academy, and my question is, if you didn't play football, did you have a backup plan?
Yes. My whole time when I got to Iowa and then was starting to transition out of Iowa and then going into the league, I wanted to be in law enforcement. Always wanted to be FBI. I talked about it for the first 5 years of my career. I kept thinking that, well, I'm going to play a year or two and then something's going to happen. I can put in my paperwork. I can probably postpone anything that I need to do for a year or so. And I kept thinking that I'm going to take the test. And before you know it, I kept looking at the cutoff age, which was at the time 34, 35. So I was a young man still, and I'm thinking that I'm going to get an opportunity to join the FBI. My mother wanted me to become a lawyer. She never wanted me to play football. Even as I was getting good in college, she still wanted me to think about law school. And I'm like, Ma, I'm going to get drafted in the National Football League. So that was an interesting time. So to answer your question, I always wanted to do that. And I have buddies that I live vicariously through that are still part of law enforcement.
So, a lot of times that backup plan is something after your career is over, you're done playing on a football field, you kind of get into.
Yes.
You see that happen a lot. You, obviously, you're not in law enforcement now, but your job now is pretty interesting, with staying with the organization you played your entire career with. So what are some of your, what's your title? What's some of the stuff you do day to day with the Patriots organization?
Absolutely. Basically, I retired after the 93 season. I've never left the organization. I'm the executive director of community affairs in our foundation. And I've been involved with community outreach, philanthropic opportunities around not only New England, but other parts of the country. We've even gone as far as Israel to get involved with certain projects that are over there. But I love what I do. I did a few other things before I eventually transitioned to community affairs, but community affairs should have been something that I should have done a long time ago. I take great joy in watching our players because we get our players involved on Tuesdays during the season. And it's so much fun hearing these guys moan and groan and then next thing you know, they're involved and they're also involving in their lives, and they understand how awesome was this to go to a hospital to visit kids that are not doing that well, or going to a community and helping to rebuild a home that folks have never had the opportunity to live in a house. They're going to be living in a home, or just making financial donations that you're going to see kids get an opportunity to go to college. There's so many things that we do from a outreach and a philanthropic standpoint that it just, I could probably go on for hours talking about the experiences that I've had. But I've been very lucky to have an owner who has, from day one, his family, they've all been very philanthropic. And they've given us the reins to go as far as we want and as wide as we want when we're involved in our community and the things that we do. And we don't lay our hat on one particular area. We kind of have a broad stroke of anything that we can go out and help make a difference, and we do it. So I love what we do. I love the opportunity to help those who can't help themselves.
How important do you think it is for an NFL organization to be involved in their local community? And then, like you said, even across the entire world.
You know, we have the opportunity and we have the ability to make change. We really do, more so than most people. You know, you find billionaires that are out there that you never know anything about, but you let a billionaire buy a sports franchise and everybody in the world knows who they are. And because of that, we've used that opportunity and that platform to be able to go out and do and touch as many things as we can and to have fun with it.
We got a question coming in here from Twitter. I think I know where it's going. Greatest Patriot of all time, you or Tom Brady? Or you can just plead the fifth and we can move on.
Tom Brady, who is that? Quarterback. He can't even play. I don't know if he could play with us back in the day. I would take my hat off to Tom Brady any day of the week, and I'm in awe of him. You know, I was, like I said, I was fortunate to be around the organization for a long time, and I was there when we drafted him because I was in personnel at the time. And to watch him go from where he was to where he is now is basically that story I tell you guys. You know, you don't ever have to settle for less. Tom was not happy at the position that he was drafted at, and he was out to prove a point and prove a lot of people wrong, and he's done that. And it's the same lesson that you all can take. You know, you don't settle for any tag that anyone tries to put on you. And if you're willing to work hard, you can make changes for yourself, and you give yourself a great opportunity in life if you're willing to work hard. My son, as I said, plays college football. He asks me all the time, Dad, you think I might have a chance to play pro ball? Now, he grew up in the stadium. He's there. He knows everybody. They know him. They love him. He's a great little football player. And I tell him, I said, I'll never blow smoke up you, but I'll tell you this. Anything is possible if you're willing to pay a price. If you're willing to work hard and get it done, doors are going to open for you. I said, you know, you got the family name. That's great. But that'll only get you so far. That might get you through the door because your last name is Tippett. But if your work ethic, if your character, if your courage, if you lack courage in areas that are important to being on a football team. His goal is to play football. He wants to have an opportunity to play. And so I speak to him from that standpoint that you do what you got to do, and then that opportunity will present itself. If you're not willing to pay the price for those things, then, you know, that doesn't make you a bad person. But understand, we all have to look at life that way.
All right, we're going to send it back to our students. We got a question over here, so go ahead and stand up. State your name. Look, we got Joe Thomas here. You're going to state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
I'm Max Holland from Twinsburg High School. What adversities did you face during your playing days?
Man, you know, you try not to get hurt. It's a tough guy game. And the only thing that players in any sport, high school, college, pros, only thing we worry about, getting hurt. I don't want to get hurt. And especially if you're playing at the highest level. I was playing at the highest level in 1989. I tore my my pec, and I was in the last preseason, and I tore it, and I was out. And I think at that point, everything happened after that was like, it was so much harder. It was like trying to push a rock uphill. And, but I took the time with that adversity to not only rehab myself to get healthy, but I had 16 hours left to get my college degree. So I went back to the University of Iowa and enrolled. They looked at me like, what are you doing back there? I said, well, you know, this thing has been on my mind. I've been 10 years out of the league. I left there with 16 hours remaining to get my degree. Are you serious about it? Yeah. I went back, I rented an apartment, I enrolled in school. So my adversity turned into something even more positive, you know, by finishing up the 16 hours, getting to walk across the stage at the University of Iowa. And so facing adversity, you got to find something that you can see, some light at the end of the tunnel. And that was my light at the end of the tunnel because I was able to go back, rehab, go to school, and get something out of it. I got like a big time win.
All right, we'll go to our next student. Go ahead and state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
Mike Lange from Yeshiva High School of Cleveland. And whether it is in football or in life, we always have teammates. What advice do you have on being a good teammate?
What advice I have on being a good teammate? Wow. Do what you say you're going to do. Be where you're supposed to be. I know we're talking football, we're talking sports, but I always say everything that you do from a sports standpoint, especially football, because it's probably one of the greatest sports that you can play, football, because you rely on so many other people to get the job done. It's going to make you a better person by working hard, putting yourself out there. You know, as a football player, you play to make the person next to you better. You challenge the person across the line of scrimmage from you. And by doing all those things, you make yourself vulnerable because criticism is going to come your way if you're not doing a good enough job. And friends don't let friends down. Friends don't tell lies. And I think just facing the facts and walking the walk, talk the talk is the most important thing to do.
All right, we got some more students out here with questions. So go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
Zach Lesh from West Branch local schools. Did you have any pre-game rituals that you followed throughout your career?
Not really. People ask me that all the time. I tape my hand a certain way. I got a spat. Let's line up and go play. It was, I didn't really rely on a whole lot other than just watching how the person that was across from me was working that day. Was he going to challenge me to make me better? Was I going to challenge to make him better? Those are the things that I look for.
Seems like it worked out. You got a bronze bust, got a gold jacket. For those of you that don't know, when you're enshrined here in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you get 3 iconic symbols, two of which we can see right here. You get the bronze bust that's going to last 40,000 years and live here in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You get the Haggard gold jacket that you see Mr. Tippett wearing. Then you get the K Jewelers Ring of Excellence as well. So those 3 iconic symbols are all something you get, kind of culminates our Hall of Famers, our gold jackets football career. So after getting all this, what is maybe the coolest thing you've gotten to do after getting that gold jacket?
For me, probably getting to sit and have conversations with a lot of the guys that are here. I mean, you talk about Jim Brown, Joe Green, Joe Namath. You can just go on and on and on, but to be able to sit side by side on a bus to an event but we all traveled to Israel. And there were 20 of us that got a chance to be with each other. And I probably had the most fun being in Israel with most of the guys who were Christian who got baptized at the Jordan River. So I was able to kind of look at them and see the tears in their eyes as they were being baptized at the Jordan River. And watching how emotionally moved they were, it was probably the coolest, because I've spent a lot of time in Israel. I'm Jewish faith, and my daughter got her bat mitzvah there, and so I was able to cry a little bit and shed a tear. But watching the gold jackets in Israel, and because they had a mindset that Israel was this way, and what we have to worry about everything. And for the 8 days that we were there, we had the greatest time of our lives. These guys learned so much about what that little small country had to offer and how powerful they are in times of trouble, and how they can stand and be as one. So just having that opportunity to be with these guys has been great.
So that was the coolest moment off the field. But obviously you were rewarded with induction to the Hall of Fame for your career on the field. What does that accolade, when you sum it all up, what does being inducted and enshrined into the Hall of Fame mean to you as a player?
Greatest honor that you can ever receive as a former player who hasn't played and has been retired. It is just one of those honors that you know that there's 300, 326 total. There are 140 that are alive. 140 of us that are alive that have this gold jacket. And I pinch myself every day, every time I put it on, because it's a great honor, but also with the honor comes a lot of responsibility still. As I tell my kids, being our children, responsibilities that are awarded to you that you got to live up to. It's the same for me as a former professional athlete, a person that is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I have to watch and be conscious of what I do every day I step out the door, how I carry myself, how I engage people, how I handle situations. Because that responsibility goes further than just me. I am a representative of Canton, Ohio, Pro Football Hall of Fame. And it means the world to me that I maintain a certain level of dignity, character, respect, commitment. All of those things are part of my burdens, which I carry with great pride.
All right, we're going to go back to our students now. We got another student ready with a question, so go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
My name is Corian, and I'm from Project Rebuild. My question is, do you have a favorite play from your career that you can recall?
Favorite play from your career?
Anytime I get blitzed, I get that blitz call to go get the quarterback. That has always been the best part of playing the game, because again, we're challenging each other. Either you're going to block me or I'm going to beat you. And there's so many great players that have played this game. There are a lot of great players out there that are not in the Hall of Fame that should be in the Hall of Fame. So it's not like, the level of play falls off. And for me, getting to do the special things that I was gifted to do as a player, play the run, play the pass. But my pet peeve, though, baby, was getting after that quarterback, pass rushing. And I enjoyed that part, because you could never take a play off and you could never not practice. You had to practice in order to get better, to hone your skills. And a lot of people don't like practice, but I do. I engage in it all the time.
All right, we're going to take another question. Jerry's right in the middle of everybody over there, so go ahead and stand up, state your name, your school, and then ask your question.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie from Glen Oak, and I was wondering if you have a current NFL football player that emulates you.
Andre Tippett 2.0.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Man.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I don't know. That's a tough question to bring to ask. I mean, there are a lot of great guys in this league. I listen to NFL Network a lot, and I'm trying to think of the player. This morning, the TV was on, and I think the last name is Williams. I think Dalen Williams, something like that. So the question was asked, how has it changed? He just came into the league in like 04, 05. How has the league changed from the time you came in? And he's almost out of football. He's close to retiring soon. And he says, when I came into the league, guys could call me out. No one would get their feelings hurt. No one would go to the Twitter, start, hey, I can't believe the dude said this about my own teammate. Back then it was still okay, and that's how you strive to get better. And he said, today's league is you call a teammate out, they get defensive, they go into a shell, and it's the craziest thing I've ever heard before. So it just goes to show, no matter where you are, who you are, we constantly have to work on our psyche, our work ethic, our ability to accept criticism on the field, off the field, in school, at home, and not be bothered by that. So the young man, William, I can't think of his name, but I know the last name is Williams. And I heard him today on the NFL Network. So that's the guy that I kind of, because in my ears, I said, whoa, what did he just say? So I look up to him.
Maybe it's not so much who emulates you, but do you enjoy, if you turn the games on Sunday, Monday night, Thursday night, whatever it might be, is there somebody you always enjoy, if they're on, you're going to stop and watch them play for a little bit?
I like our team.
That's a pretty good answer.
I like our team.
Answer.
I like our guys. We got some pretty good guys that know how to get up, get after it a little bit. So I've been very fortunate to talk and work with some guys that are on the team now. So they're all good to me, and I love watching them play.
After your career's over, there's always that transition from the game to off the field. Now, yours was a little different because you stayed within the organization, but was there anybody out there that either A, helped you with that transition, or do you have any advice for somebody who's maybe transitioning out of the game of football?
I'm very fortunate to speak to our rookie class. Every rookie class has been in our organization. And what I share with them is basically, hey, enjoy the game, take care of yourself, get in the best condition that you can get, but start thinking about what you want to do when you're age 34, 35. That's it, because in the real world, guys and women that are at that age are just starting to get their stride in life. They're just starting to get out on their own and get these promotions and kind of find a role for themselves in the corporate world. And I said, for you as an athlete, understandable, some guys get enough money in a contract that they never have to worry about that. But everybody isn't getting a $50 million, $100 million contract. There are a lot of guys that, are just barely making it. And those are the guys that I like talking to, like having a conversation with. I like introducing them to different corporations in the New England area where they can possibly get an internship in the off season and start thinking about transitioning. So you hear what we're talking about. Not wait until it's the end of your career. Let's start thinking about it at that first, second, third year of being in the National Football League, because all it takes is one injury and you're fighting an uphill battle.
So guys, just time here for a couple more questions. Time relevant question here, coming in from Facebook. Bills-Patriots matchup on Sunday. Normally, it's not a big storyline, But both teams are undefeated this year. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, are playing very well. Tom Brady's got the Patriots, and Coach Belichick's got them playing just as well, if not better. What do you think about the matchup on Sunday?
Well,
and what do you see moving forward in the conference?
It's going to be a great game, and I'm going to have to reach out to my buddy Thurman Thomas and probably put a bet on the line. Buffalo wings versus maybe a lobster or something like that, because both of us are 3-0. It's going to be a great game, and you never know what's going to happen in Buffalo because obviously they get it. They understand where they need to be in their organization. We obviously know where we are, and we've had success doing a lot of things the right way. It's going to be fun going up to Buffalo because you don't really know what you know until you're put in a situation like we are, where both teams are undefeated. And we're going to find out who's going to blink first. Because the first person that blinks is going to make a mistake. So we're going to try not to blink first, and it should be awesome.
Last question for the day, and I like to end all of these programs like this, kind of send everybody out with one thing to remember. So what would be one piece of advice you would want all of our students, adults, and everybody we have watching online to take away from today or to leave to go home with?
Absolutely. You know, I started out in the opening, be the best that you can be to those who can't protect themselves, those that can't speak up for themselves. There are a lot of people, and you guys know who they are. You guys walk by them in school. You probably know them in your neighborhood. You might even have a few guys on your team, and that they need that support. They need the help. They need the ability to move through the building without being harassed and different things like that. So as easy as it sounds, it really is hard to take the time because we, as young people, we tend to not think about others. But here's your opportunity to think about others. Do what you can to help make somebody else a better person, to help make someone stay a lot easier. And as I said, man, don't be afraid to get criticized or be critiqued or get pointed out things that you need to learn how to do to get better. We all need to be told that we lack certain things that are going to make us stronger and not take it the wrong way. Don't be offended by it. Use it as a life lesson. I want to thank you guys for being here today. I know this has been long. We've been talking. I hope that I didn't bore you guys too much. But, hey, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Mr. Tippett, I want to thank you for coming back to your second home. I want to thank you for everything you've done for us at the Hall of Fame. I always like to say the game of football wouldn't be the same as it is without our Gold Jackets influence. So thanks for everything you've done for the game, us at the Hall of Fame. Everybody, one last round of applause for Mr. Andre Tippett.
Thank you.